Many fantasy football gamers are out there trying to find that next breakout player off the waiver wire to stash on their bench. They're hoping to find a player that can go nuclear during the back half of the season. Over the last few days, I've had a lot of people reach out to me about Odell Beckham Jr. It looks like he's on tour with a bunch of teams, getting a good feel of where he wants to go, where he wants to sign with, and what is this going to look like. Going back to last year's stats with the Rams, 593 yards, 7 touchdowns, had 1.68 yards per route ran, 12.8 average depth of target. He's currently 29 years old. So, older wide receivers don't always do so great. But the thing is, we're getting to this part of the season where rosters in fantasy are going to start dealing with some things. Bye weeks, injuries. Some of these teams are 0-5, 0-4. Some of these teams are middle of the road right now, and they need some juice. And they're missing some players off the waiver wire due to not bidding enough, being outbid, or they're just not on top of the waiver claim that week, and the worst teams was able to get the waiver or whatever the scenario is. We are looking for guys that could pop off potentially. Odell Beckham Jr., although he's an older wide receiver, although he's had his shortcomings, although he's coming back from an ACL injury, there are some positives to look at. When he signs, more than likely, he's going to be with a good quarterback. There's no reason why almost a 30-year-old wide receiver who has a career like him, who is prestigious throughout his career like him, is going to go to a bottom-dwelling team and just suck it up. He is feeling what these teams are about. He's on tour with them, seeing what the facilities, the atmosphere, what the quarterback's like, just seeing what's the best opportunity for him. And more than likely, it's going to be with a good quarterback. Good targets will be going his way, and he'll probably see the field. If he's going to sign with a team, he is probably going to get some guarantees that he's going to get a percentage of snaps. He's going to be on the field. He's going to get the opportunities to make some plays. And when you look at last year, he had a good average depth of target, 12.8 yards, which is solid. Getting some deep targets, which always equates to fantasy points. We should see something similar to that wherever he goes, especially if he goes somewhere like Buffalo or the Chargers or the Bucks, or the Packers. He's also torn around. We've seen him with the Saints and Giants. More than likely, he's going to go with some of those top-tier teams. I wouldn't be surprised if the money was right, he went to somewhere else. But some of those top-tier teams with good quarterback play is where I expect him to go. And that's where many people are expecting him to go as well. That's why people are asking about him. But for fantasy as a stash, that's what we're looking for. As a stash, we don't want to just look at the upside. We also want to look at the downside. He might come in, and it might take him a few weeks to get transitioned, and it might be later in the season, and he may have one good week and a bunch of bad weeks, or he might pop off. There's a lot in this range of outcomes that you got to look at. But when you're stashing him, I think it's going to be hard to stash him on a fantasy team with a 6-man bench because you don't have much to work with there. You're probably going to struggle holding on to him, waiting for him to sign. If you're in a deeper league, you have deeper benches, and waiver wire's kind of thin, it's trim, and he's there. You may want to think about it just because of attrition and play the matchups with him if you need to, if you have to, depending on your situation. If things start to heat up more with him and your waiver wire's trim, there's not much upside there, then you might want to look at stashing him. And then think about it when you do stash him as purely an upside play that could bottom out on you, and be willing to move out and go to another player if the situation arises, or be willing to be patient or not patient with him. You got to have a plan with him. You don't want to sit there waiting, being frustrated, and this is a player coming back from an ACL, transitioning to a new team. Might take him some weeks, to get acquainted and all that stuff into the offense, and you're over here thinking it's money printer go Burr. Week 1 he steps on the field, week 2, week 3 it might take him some time. Also, he's older, so things like that you gotta take into account. But when you put him on your roster, just realize that this is a speculation play. We're speculating that there's a chance, there could be a window of opportunity that he just blows up with his new team because he's going to be in a good situation with good volume and good quarterback play, and that he returns back to his old self of some sort to some degree, because it ain't going to be old school Odell Beckham from when he was with the Giants. It's going to be some form of what he is, but there is a chance. But with all these stashes, there is the downside. Would I stash him? I would stash him in deeper leagues. I would stash him in deeper leagues where the waiver wire's thin. There's no one else really to go to for upside. And if I have to drop him, I wouldn't be afraid to do so, because I have to keep things turning and burning to keep my lineups afloat, because that's just how the game's played. But I would stash him in deeper leagues. I think it would be a struggle to stash him in leagues where you got a 6-man bench, where it's just your basic redraft league. You may come across some good gets on the waivers here in the next couple weeks due to injuries and whatnot, and you may have to drop them to get that running back, get that receiver, get that tight end, whatever. You may have to do that. Sometimes you'll see people drop a random guy who's good, and you want to get him because you'll see that in these basic redraft leagues, and it's harder to hold on to stashes like this. I would not diamond fist him, but I would think of stashing him. I think so, especially deeper leagues where the waiver wires trim and you need upside. And I would just go into this looking as this is just an upside play that you're looking at down this road that could help you out. But I'm also going to be very liquid with it. If something comes my way, I'm not going to think twice of moving on from him as well if it's going to help my team, because we're here to get some wins. It's a quick race to the finish here in the season, and you don't want to dig yourself a hole trying to stash a bunch of players and waiting just in case when there's a chance that it may not ever happen. But let me know what you think about Odell Beckham Jr. going forward. Drop what you think in the comments below. Make sure you smash that like button on the way out. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because I'm here dropping fantasy content all day long, just about every day, trying to help you out, giving you all kinds of suggestions and feedback, whatever I can do for you. But I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.